And then Grant, let's go over to your surprise team of the week here in the NFL Week 12.
So
Who surprised you?
So I don't know what my relationship is with this team, because they were a playoff team to start the year. They were a disappointing team last week. They fired a coach, and then all of a sudden the building changed. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense?
Yeah.
I know I understand only 16 points. It's still not great. But luckily, when you're playing a Joe Burrow-less Bengals, that's all you need to win a game. But their offense looked great when you look at just the paper. I mean, Kenny Pickett completed 72% of his passes. But the more important part, 8.4 yards per attempt. He was getting the ball down the field a little bit, something we never saw when Matt Canada was there. They finally had over 400 yards of total offense. And I think the biggest stat of the day that I saw when I was doing some research today, they had 5 players on Sunday who averaged 10-plus yards per reception. I didn't think that was possible. I mean, it's truly incredible how one small coaching change can just change the energy in the building. We see it all the time whenever a head coach gets fired. It seems like teams come out the next week and they win and they play big. So maybe the Steelers offense needed this. And, they average 4.6 yards per carry on the ground. Shoot, the Steelers, they can continue to play offense like this with that defense. They're not only going to make the playoffs, they're going to be a team you don't want to play. So my surprise team is Pittsburgh, because I don't know the relationship I have with them this year. It's a situationship, I'll say, with me and Pittsburgh.
Well, instead of using jet motion all the time, they actually decided to kind of utilize the middle of the field. It helps having Pat Freiermuth come back,
and he had 9 receptions for 100.
Yeah,
he was hurt.
Because was he hurt, or they just forgot that they had him?
He was on
a little
IR
bit,
for hamstring.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
But he had 9 receptions for 120 yards.
Yeah.
Bodes well for him going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I also had him as had the Steelers as one of my surprise teams, but I'll have to find a new one.
Freiermuth was my original pick for my fantasy tight end this year.
There you go. I am starting him over Kittle this week.
Yeah, that's a tough. Tight ends haven't done much against Philadelphia this year.
No, and Kittle's very hit and miss. When Debo was out, fantastic. Debo back, not nearly as many targets. So I'm not risking it.
So Ethan, now who do you got?
I'll say it's a surprise. I'm not saying they're good, but the Bears, particularly their defensive line. Vikings offensive line had actually been very good this year, especially in pass protection, like pretty solid. Bears got 3 sacks, 9 QB hits, 20 pressures, I think. Yes, Dobbs was terrible. But at the same time, he was under constant pressure. I don't think KOC, I told you guys, did him any favors on Monday night. But they were constantly in the backfield. They held the Vikings to just over 4 yards a rush. So not great by any means, but serviceable. But really just keeping him under pressure the entire time and not letting him get outside the pocket on the scrambles like we've seen from other teams. They almost always had a spy on him. And the Vikings just never had an outlet. There was nowhere for him to go with the ball.
Well, no one could get open.
Yeah.
It was sticky man coverage all game. And Monday showed that the Vikes need Justin Jefferson, because these dudes who are on the roster right now, they can't get open.
Also, Addison, worst game of his career. Not even close.
He just ran out of bounds.
Yeah.
That one, I guess, at the end of the day didn't matter because they still scored. But yes, just a pathetic. You can't do that.
That is true.
But still, he had multiple drops, led to an interception. If he catches that one that went off his hands for a pick, it's probably a touchdown. He's full stride. Safety's behind him. There's no way anyone's going to catch him.
Well, and I believe a lot of those interceptions too, that play, my memory served me correct too. That was a 3rd down that would have extended a drive. Vikings were.
Oh yeah, he absolutely
forgot how to convert on 3rd downs.
And one of his interceptions was on 4th down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what do you do there?
The interception actually gave the Bears worse field position in that case.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, yeah, but Aikman called it right away. He goes, "Hey, should have dropped that ball."
Yeah. But I'll go to the Bears D-line.
All righty. Well, I'm gonna go with Grant's team. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs after
Do
a
they have
after
more
a
than
very
one catch from the receivers?
after
Wow.
a very tough loss where that they blew a 10-point second half lead. Chiefs kind of carried that into the game where they fell behind 14-0. Maybe they were out and about partying in Vegas the night before. Not really sure, but they bounced back, able to tie it right before half, and then outscore, or well, after they fell behind 14-0, they outscore the Raiders 31-3. I think they have finally found an identity on offense, which is running the ball, which not many people thought they would say with Andy Reid as the head coach. But Pacheco, McKinnon, that backfield has been really good, especially where the passing game has really struggled. But the receivers looked a lot better this week compared to last week. They actually caught the ball. Maybe Pat Mahomes is taking some zip off the ball. There's a common denominator with all these drops is Pat Mahomes is throwing it. Maybe he doesn't throw a very catchable ball. I'm not sure. And Pat Mahomes also may have found a second favorite target behind Travis Kelce in the rookie Rashee Rice, who had 8 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. And I think with the improved run game, I think a little bit more commitment to the run game. I think you saw that more in the second half where they stuck with the run, where they against the Eagles, it felt like they kind of got away from running the ball, where they were gashing the Eagles in that first half. But for the Chiefs and Andy to stick with the run and commit to it, we'll see if that continues week to week or into the next week. But letting the defense do their thing, not putting the defense in vulnerable spots where they're going to give up touchdowns or giving them short fields. I think Andy Reid's finally maybe understood complementary football.
Well, if you remember last year, the 3 or 4 times that I called the Chiefs out and they started to run the ball, that was their 3 or 4 best games of the year, and they scored 30 points in all those games. So they did that again. But then also, the one thing going back to last year's team, when they really got going on offense, Juju stepped up. Well, on Sunday we saw Rashee Rice kind of step up, and if you have that number 2 option where Mahomes trusts him, and Juju and Rashee they're kind of built the same way. They're big possession guys. They're not going to burn you like Tyreek, but if Rashee can get comfortable and he can keep doing his thing, and then when you need a Sky Moore, when Kadarius Toney plays, when you need Justin Watson to make a play as that third option, they're going to be a hard team to beat.
Yeah, and one thing I've always said about the Chiefs these last few years is they don't run the ball a whole lot, but their situational running is exceptional. When they have to run the ball, they are able to move the sticks, get a push up front, and move the sticks and run the clock out. I think that's something that they've always been good at. They've always relied on that the passing game, just because of that's who Andy Reid is. But situationally, they've always been able to run the ball, and this year they have to do it a little bit more than what they'd like to or are used to doing.